Hello everyone, my name is SeaTactics for the win, otherwise known as Ben. Welcome to another unscripted first impressions video. Technically, already did a first impressions video for Absolute Demonic Front Babylonia way back when Itium Eater episode 0 came out, so if you haven't already, go check that out. It's a semi-popular video. I think it's got over like 4,000 or 5,000 views. I can't remember exactly, but I want to do another video for Absolute Demonic Front Babylonia because I put out a poll that asked you guys what videos you want to see next, and one of them was this anime, and I already planned to do a video on this anime anyways, but I decided, you know what, I'm just going to release it a little bit earlier than I was going to anyway. So here we are, my first impressions of Absolute Demonic Front Babylonia. And the first thing I gotta say really is, man, this art looks really good. Now in some places, maybe not so much. For example, there are little spots where when a character is, it's a longer shot, there's a lot of distance between the camera and the actual character. You get some blobby looking characters like you did in the 90s and the mid and early 2000s, but that's usually not a problem. The character designs and the art is spectacular. If you remember in my Lord El Meloy first impressions video, where I said Lord El Meloy has something over every other fate, Absolute Demonic Front Babylonia is the exact same thing. It has something over every other fate that no other fate has over this one, and that is simply how bright and different looking in tone this is to every other fate. This fate is like I said, very bright looking. The colors are vibrant. It takes place in a desert, of course, so there's a lot of sun beating down. There's a lot of exposure on things, and a lot of brightness and contrast. And it's really cool looking to see that, because with Fate, you usually get these darker shows. So going into Absolute Demonic Front Babylonia, I was sort of expecting a more darker tone to it, but it's actually not. It's not a really dark show. The tone for it is actually a little bit more lighthearted in that sense because, well, as we've seen from, I think it was episode 4 or 5, Jaguar Man, that is something that I've never even expected to happen in this anime. And not only that, that's something that has never even, far as I'm aware from any of the Fate anime that I've watched, that I've seen. The only thing I can think to come close is the Heaven's Feel 2 scene with Sakura. That one, you know which one I'm talking about if you've seen that film. I'm doing a first impressions actually coming out this Friday, a part 2 of my Heaven's Feel 2 first impressions. Part 1's already out. Definitely want to go check it out if you haven't already. It's on my channel. And speaking of, if you want more Fate content, definitely subscribe and ring the bell because I got plenty of that. Got a whole playlist I'll put down in the description. But as I said, it's a much more lighthearted tone of a show, and you just wouldn't expect that. There's a little bit more comedy. There's a hell of a lot more fan service in both the traditional fan service and also the female and male bodies being shown off fan service. Sorry, I just hit the mic. For example, I mean Shuba Cara, who is quite possibly one of the most colorful designs, but also one of the most confusing designs. And she's one of the most confusing designs for a multitude of reasons. A lot of reasons you probably guessed just looking at her right now. And that she's got truck flaps for a shirt. Now, I joke about this on the Absolute Demonic Front Babylonia podcast over on the Bento channel. Links in the description, where every week me and my co-host Malice in Wonderland talk about Absolute Demonic Front Babylonia as the new episodes continue to air. One of the things that I kept talking about throughout the whole series is how I don't really like much of the character designs for the females and some of the males because it's obviously just fan service to me, and they're not very good designs based off what we've seen with proper Fate Stay Night stuff. This is the biggest argument I can have against this show, and that is it goes way too much in the realm of sexualized fan service. Now, there isn't anything wrong with looking at sexy dudes or girls or anything like that. I think it's perfectly natural. I even welcome it in some instances. In some shows, for example, Why the Hell Are You Here, Teacher, which I have done videos on the Bento channel for, and I think I did a couple videos on this channel for. Yeah, I like that show, and it's just fan service. So obviously I am a somewhat proponent of fan service, but Shuba Cara's design goes into a realm I'm not quite comfortable with. Not because like I don't like to see sexy women or anything like that, or sexy anime characters. It's just a little too ridiculous for me, if that makes sense. I joke, but she has truck flaps for a shirt, and that's funny. That's funny, but for a Fate anime, that's I don't know, it's quite strange for me, because she's basically, all intents and purposes, completely buck naked, and that is something that I would want my girlfriend to wear for me going to bed, if you know what I'm saying. Not something that I would want someone to wear into combat. So it's a little bit of a plot hole there. It's a little bit of a hole there in that sense, because it just doesn't make sense in that way. And we see her go to battle in that stuff, and it just looks quite strange, which I do appreciate in one of the episodes that our main character, Fujimaru, kind of takes notice of Shuba Cara's design, which was a very comedic scene. So it shows they're very self-aware of that stuff, which I greatly appreciate. But it is a little bit of a nuisance, but it isn't. It's the worst thing about the show, but it's not definitely going to harm your enjoyment. But what will definitely not harm your enjoyment is Gilgamesh. Gilgamesh, this is a whole route pretty much dedicated to him, and I freaking love Gilgamesh. I think I could speak for most people in saying this and saying that Gilgamesh, he is so charismatic and such a dick that you just want to like Gilgamesh for being a dick and a total complete asshole. He's so full of himself, and I love it. Now, in this, Gilgamesh is a little bit of a different Gilgamesh we've seen. Based off comments that I've gotten and when we've streamed our podcast for Absolute Demonic Front Babylonia on the Bento channel, based off comments we've gotten there, I've come to learn that this is post-tyrannicism or tyrannical leader Gilgamesh, so he's a much more chilled out person, which is actually a thing they bring up before even meeting Gilgamesh. They talk about how Gilgamesh is this ruthless guy who will kill you for agreeing with him, and he'll kill you for not agreeing with him, and he may just kill you because he wants to, which is kind of jarring when we actually do see him. He just kind of sits back in his throne, and he's kind of chill. Like, he's super chill and he's super nice to everybody. He basically just sends Fujimaru and Mash on glorified fetch quests, which I think is quite funny, because in one episode they show up, Fujimaru and Mash, and Gilgamesh goes, "Oh, you're here. Well, I need you to go do this." And that was pretty much the whole interaction. They were just like, okay, we're going, I guess. Which is really nice. I think Gilgamesh in this is pretty cool. I like Gilgamesh. So any kind of Gilgamesh we get is awesome. But I hope he calls somebody mongrel. I'm waiting for it. It needs to happen. Because Gilgamesh not calling somebody a mongrel is, it just feels not like Gilgamesh at that point. So I hope we see him, as like a one-liner, call somebody a mongrel or something. Another thing is Ishtar. Ishtar is super interesting in this anime. And of course, she's another one of those that has a really bad design. She's basically wearing underwear with like one really long sock, and that's it. That's it. Like, not even joking. And she looks exactly like Rin Tosaka from the main Fate routes, which is quite interesting. And from what I gather, the way this happened is that they basically took a girl who happens to look like Rin, and they infused her personality of Ishtar with this girl, and so we get her. And it's a combination of a lot of the personalities and stuff like that, from what I've understood so far. And I like Ishtar quite a bit as well. I don't like her character design. I think it's quite dumb. But she is kind of a lot like Rin in that way, but think of Rin, but way more of a tsundere. And that's pretty much it. I actually think I would compare this Rin to more of like a Dragon Ball Z character in some instances, because she is kind of basic in the sense that she is more of a just tsundere. So that kind of already fits more of the Dragon Ball Z type character, but she also shoots giant laser beams. She has her, whatever her gun is. I can't remember her Tosaka gun, her Rin gun, whatever you want to call it. She, in this one, it's just like a big blue energy blast. So it looks a lot like something from Dragon Ball Z, which I quite appreciate, as I'm a massive fan of Dragon Ball Z. Her character's great. I love Ishtar. Ishtar is awesome. But I think for sure the one thing that I think most people will take away from this is just how differently it is to every other one of the other Fates. It still feels like Fate. Of course, it's not technically Fate. It's not supposed to really be Fate, because This is Grand Order. This is a spin-off. This isn't Fate Stay Night. This is just Fate Grand Order. It's a totally different kind of thing that's running parallel along the other Fates, which is a pretty cool way to do it, in my opinion. I think you can definitely, as a viewer, if you're a fan of proper Fate like myself, that likes proper Fate a lot more than Grand Order, I think you can... I was able to definitely separate these two entities and it not get on my nerves or anything like that. I understood what Grand Order is kind of going for. In many ways, Grand Order is more of an anime than Fate proper Fate Stay Night is. Fate Stay Night feels like it's trying to tell a very mature story with some anime elements and also it being an anime in general. Whereas Grand Order is definitely just like, let's make an anime about Fate, you know? So it's not like Fate proper, where it's trying to go above and beyond the constructs of what an anime is. It's not trying to be more than what you see. Grand Order is exactly what you see, and it is what you will get. But it's also really fucking good, too. Like, there is a lot of great stuff in Absolute Demonic Front Babylonia that I think a lot of people will appreciate and enjoy, no matter what kind of viewer you are of Fate. And that's another thing. I think that if you've not seen any of Fate before, I think you can drop into this and enjoy it just as much as any other person could. Now, maybe you won't get some things like Ishtar and some things about Gilgamesh that the fandom really like, but that's okay. That's not something that you necessarily have to know, or it's a need-to-know knowledge. You can learn about that later if you so desire. Which is a great thing about Grand Order, in my opinion, because the way it's starting, we're starting in Arc 7, I'm pretty sure, which, if you go look at the mobile game, that's a long time, it's a lot of gameplay time. So, to be starting in late into the story, by the way, we're all there. We're all with each other at this point. We know as much as we know if you're an anime-only viewer of Grand Order, so it's okay. It's okay if you're asking in the comments, hey, can I watch this without having to watch like Fate Zero or Stay Night? Yeah, totally, straight up. Like, go watch it right now if you so desire. Some other stuff that I really enjoyed, though, about Absolute Demonic Front Babylonia, I think the animation is incredible. It takes a lot from UFO Table in that sense. In fact, I think this is, in terms of the animation and action, it's more of an UFO Table looking show than you may originally think. Of course, this is from Cloverworks, who have worked on Bunny Girl Senpai, which, yeah, if you didn't know that, you're probably very surprised to hear that. But yes, the same studio that worked on Bunny Girl Senpai, a surprise hit of that season, and a very popular anime these days, is the same studio that works on this. And I think they did a great job because it's Fate, but it's more of the Heavens feel kind of Fate. I feel like Fate Zero had really good action that was grounded. UBW amped that up to like 1 million, and it looks really good, but it's still somewhat grounded. And Heaven's Feel, of course, just goes crazy. Heaven's Feel is like, you know what? None of this is going to make sense to you, but we're going to overwhelm you in each and every way we can. And by the end, you're going to be so impressed that you're not even going to care if you don't even understood what you saw. And Absolute Demonic Front Babylonia is just that. It is that style of animation where sometimes you can't follow it, but that's okay because it's that crazy on purpose, and that adds to the way the show looks and the tone the show gives off, which is anime Fate. It's Fate, but it's a straight up anime nonsense bullshit stuff, which I love. I think that the way that they approach this makes this probably one of the most unique Fates ever made. And that may be controversial, but I do believe that for sure. I think Absolute Demonic Front Babylonia is one of the most unique Fate anime ever made. So, with that being said, I would love to hear in the comments what you guys have to say about my opinions on the show. And as well, I want to know what your opinions are of the show. Like I said in multiple times this video already, I have a podcast where every single Monday, me and Malice in Wonderland, one of my viewers and subscribers in my Discord server, which you all can join, which I highly recommend, we talk about it weekly. And we've got most of the episodes up right now. It's just free. Just go over there and watch them on YouTube if you want, and we stream them live. So if you subscribe and ring the bell of my Bento channel, or if you follow me on twitch.tv, you will get a notification when we go live talking about Absolute Demonic Front Babylonia, which I hope to see some of you there if you didn't know that we already do that weekly. So yeah, put down in the comments below what you think. With that being said, I'll see you guys later. Bye-bye.